I never thought my life would amount to polishing metal for beings who could crush my skull like a beer can, but here I was, standing in front of the Galactic Princess Knight's armor rack, a bucket of polish in one hand and a rag in the other. Most people saw this job as humiliation, but I treated it like survival. You screw up, you're space dust. You overdo it, they think you're making a move. You underdo it, they accuse you of sabotage. And God's help you if you get caught sniffing the polish for fun, which, honestly, smells better than the cafeteria food. The armor stood taller than me, shining silver with bloodstains still faintly etched into the grooves. "This is just great," I muttered, rubbing a circular motion across the chest plate. Nothing says human dignity like waxing alien murder gear. I like to talk to myself. Helped keep me sane. Except this time she heard me. "Are you complaining?" Her voice came from behind, sharp like a blade sliding free of its sheath. I froze, rag in midair. Most janitors would have dropped dead on the spot. I didn't. I turned, forced a smile, and said, "No, Your Highness, just commenting that your armor shines better than my future." She narrowed her eyes. She was gorgeous in the terrifying way, sharp cheekbones, long obsidian hair braided with jewels, and that aura of, "I could kill you while filing my nails." "Then polish faster," she said, like I was beneath even the concept of labor. I shrugged. "Sure. I'll just buff the scratches out of Galactic War. Maybe add a coat of wax while I'm at it. Want me to monogram your initials too?"
Her gaze snapped to me.
For a second, I thought she'd order my execution. Instead, her lips twitched. Not quite a smile, but not rage either. I realized with horror. I'd just made her almost laugh. Nobody made her laugh. Rumor was, the last soldier who tried ended up polishing the inside of her sword. I went back to rubbing, focusing on the thigh plate. Of course, my mouth didn't stop. "Funny thing about thigh armor, you know? You spend more time here than you'd like, and people start thinking you're either obsessed or desperate." Her eyebrow arched. "Are you obsessed? With thighs?" "Absolutely. With yours?" "Not yet. Give me time." She blinked. For a terrifying second, silence filled the room. Then she said almost softly, "Why are you speaking to me like this?" I leaned back, rag dangling. "Like what? Like you're not some goddess in murder steel? You want me to grovel, kiss the floor, beg for mercy? Sorry, I'm fresh out of worship. Used it all up when I was a teenager watching Holovids." She tilted her head, studying me like I was some strange insect. Then she asked it, the line that hung in the air heavier than her sword. "Why treat me like I matter?" The rag slipped from my hand. That wasn't anger. That wasn't arrogance. That was something raw, something buried under years of people fearing her name. And it knocked the sarcasm right out of me, if only for a second. "You're kidding, right?" I said finally, voice dropping. "You command fleets. You've got planets trembling when you sneeze. And you think you don't matter?" Her expression didn't change, but her eyes, those cruel violet eyes, looked away. To them, I'm a weapon. A symbol. Replaceable if broken. I let out a dry laugh. "Lady, I scrub toilets that could eat me alive. You matter more than half this galaxy's population combined. And here I am, stuck polishing your ass plates." She actually gasped, then coughed to cover it, trying to restore her intimidating aura. "You're insolent." "Yeah," I said, returning to the chest piece. "But at least I'm honest. Everyone else is too scared to tell you your armor smells like burnt ozone and desperation." That did it. She snorted. The sound echoed like a gunshot, and then she covered her mouth as though admitting weakness. I grinned. "There it is. Proof you're not made of stone. You're insufferable. Better than being dead, which is what I assumed would happen about 5 minutes ago." I leaned closer to buff the last streak, deliberately dragging it out. My arm brushed the curve of the armor where her body would fit, and I caught myself saying, "You know, for someone so terrifying, you've got great symmetry. Designers probably had a field day making you look dangerous and sexy at the same time." Her cheeks flushed. She, the untouchable knight, was blushing. Do you always talk this way while working? Only when I want to get fired. Or murdered. Or both. But hey, it's worth it if it means reminding you you're not just a blade in a sheath. She didn't reply immediately. Instead, she stepped forward, closer than any sane man would want a woman with a plasma blade to be. Her scent wasn't perfume but steel and ozone, with a hint of something warmer beneath. You risk too much, she said finally. Your tongue will be the end of you. Wouldn't be the first time. I shot back, smirking. That's when it happened. She laughed, not a snort, not a twitch, but a genuine laugh, low and rich, like she'd been holding it in for years. And I stood there, cloth in hand, realizing I'd just broken the scariest woman in the galaxy with a joke about thighs and armor polish. And for the first time, I wondered if maybe polishing her armor was the least dangerous thing I could do with my hands. I should have quit while I was ahead, but of course I didn't. The thing about making a galactic night laugh is it's like giving a starving animal its first taste of food. It keeps looking at you for more. Except in this case, the starving animal had a sword that could cleave a starship in half. The next day, when I showed up with my bucket and rag, she was already there waiting. Usually she'd sweep in dramatically, cloak swishing, attendants scurrying like mice. This time, no audience, just her leaning against the rack with arms crossed, like she was expecting me. You're late, she said. I checked my watch. I'm literally early. Then you should have been earlier. Oh, so now you want me to anticipate your whims? Should I also predict your laundry needs and your preferred temperature for bubble baths? Her eyes narrowed, but there was a flicker at the corner of her lips. She wanted to laugh again. Damn it, I was feeding a monster. I got to work, deliberately ignoring her, humming some stupid human song from the 21st century, off-key. She lasted about 30 seconds before blurting. Why do you do that? Do what?
Sing.
Offensively. Because if I sang well, you'd fall in love instantly. I'm protecting you from heartbreak. Her cheeks colored again, and she snapped, ridiculous. But she didn't leave. Instead, she kept circling like a predator who couldn't decide whether to eat me or something else. Finally, she asked, Is this how you speak to all women? Nope. Only to the ones who can kill me with a flick of their wrist. Turns me on. Her breath hitched. I wasn't sure if it was shock or interest, but either way, she was hooked. That's when the rumors started. A pair of grunts walked past the armory, peeking in and whispering. I caught janitor and princess in the same sentence, followed by laughter.
Great.
Half the crew already thought I was sleeping with her, and the other half probably wanted to kill me for it. She noticed, of course. Why are they staring? Because they think we're involved. Her head snapped toward me, eyes blazing. Involved. Yeah, doing the horizontal tango, polishing more than just your armor, waxing the... Silence. She looked genuinely rattled, then quieter. Do they truly believe that? I shrugged. People believe what entertains them. You being scary is old news. You being scandalous? That's worth gossip. She paced, muttering in her alien tongue, probably cursing me and the universe. Finally, she stopped. If they already assume it, then perhaps it is simpler not to deny it. I choked. Wait, you want to pretend we're sleeping together? Her expression was dead serious. If it grants me freedom from their constant reverence, then yes. I leaned back. Princess, I hate to break it to you, but fake dating a janitor isn't exactly reputation armor. You'll look less like a goddess and more like someone slumming it for kicks. Her lips twitched again. Perhaps that is the appeal. I stared. She was enjoying this. She was playing. My doom was sealed. The rest of that shift was a blur of innuendo-laced conversation. Every time I reached a seam in her armor, she'd mutter something like, "Careful with that, it's sensitive," and I'd nearly choke holding back a laugh. At one point, she asked me, in complete seriousness, explain human courtship rituals. Step by step. I froze mid-polish. Step by step? You want the dating manual?
Yes.
If I am to blend in with your kind, I must learn. So there I was, giving the most powerful woman I'd ever met a crash course in romance like I was teaching someone how to assemble IKEA furniture. First, you talk, flirt, exchange jokes, maybe get drinks.
She frowned.
I do not drink with subordinates. That would be improper. Great, then you're halfway to marriage already. She didn't get the joke. Or maybe she did, because her lips curved. And then comes physical contact. Holding hands, maybe kissing then. Kissing? She leaned in way too close. Demonstrate. I almost swallowed my tongue. You can't just. Kissing isn't something you order like dessert. Why not? Because it's supposed to mean something. It's intimate. She considered this. Then you refuse? I hesitated. Every survival instinct screamed run, but another instinct, the stupid, horny one, was shouting do it. I'm not saying no, I muttered. Before it could escalate, a squad of her guards barged in, and there we were, her leaning toward me clutching a rag like a shield. To them, it must have looked like foreplay. The gossip factory exploded that night. By the time I hit the mess hall, I could hear the whispers. She brought him food. She touched his hand. He's her consort. I laughed it off, but when I looked up, she was across the room, staring at me with that unreadable expression. And for the first time, I wondered if she was thinking the same thing they were. Word count, 10, 12. By the third cycle, my job description had officially changed from janitor with a rag to personal attendant of Her Royal Pain-in-the-Ass Highness. At least, that's what the paperwork said. In reality, it meant following her around, carrying her armor polish, and getting side-eyed by every soldier on the ship like I was some intergalactic gigolo who'd hit the jackpot. I couldn't decide if they envied me or wanted me spaced. Probably both. She called me attendant, but it came out more like consort. In her language, there wasn't much difference, which meant half the crew now thought we were married. I learned this when HR, yes, even space empires have HR, summoned me to ask if I needed extra rations for my spousal duties. I nearly choked on my water. When I confronted her, she just blinked and said, "Do you not wish for extra food?" That's not the point. I snapped. You've basically made me your husband without asking. Would you rather be my enemy?
Hard to argue with that.
So I swallowed my pride and accepted my fate as the galaxy's most reluctant groom. Of course, with the new role came expectations. She began giving me orders that sounded less like military commands and more like pickup lines written by a malfunctioning AI. Attend to my needs. Polish me thoroughly. Ensure my sword is ready for action. I couldn't tell if she was serious or if she'd learned how to weaponize double entendre. Either way, my nights were filled with laughter and anxiety, and, occasionally, the urge to hide under my bunk. One evening, she cornered me in her quarters. Full armor off, hair down, skin gleaming under the blue glow of the ship's lights. For a moment, I forgot she could break me in half. Then she spoke in that clipped, commanding tone. I will now perform human mating ritual. Prepare yourself. I spat out my drink. That's not how you ask someone to. Look, romance doesn't start with a PowerPoint presentation. She tilted her head. Then correct me. I rubbed my temples. Okay, step 1, you don't call it a mating ritual. Step 2, you don't schedule it like a battle drill. Step 3, you don't tell a guy to prepare his genitals like you're briefing a platoon. Her brow furrowed. Then, how do you initiate? I sighed. You flirt. You tease. You build tension. She smirked. I already do that. You are tense constantly. She wasn't wrong. My entire body was a knot of nerves around her. But before I could argue, she leaned closer, her voice low. Show me. I froze. The logical part of me screamed, this is a terrible idea. The other part, the reckless, horny, very human part, leaned in anyway. But right as our lips were about to meet, her armor AI chimed in from the corner. Warning. Proximity alert. Night class unit is engaging in unauthorized fusion protocol. She spun, snarling at the AI, while I collapsed into laughter. Fusion protocol? Is that what your people call foreplay? Her cheeks burned crimson. Silence that thing. I doubled over. I don't think I can. It's too busy cock-blocking us. She stomped toward the console, muttering death threats at the AI. I watched her hips sway and thought, this is either the best or worst decision of my life. Maybe both. Later that night, we tried again, this time aided by alcohol. Alien liquor hits harder than any earth brew. She sipped it like water. I nearly blacked out after 2 gulps. But drunk me had no filter, and drunk her had no armor. We sat on the floor, trading war stories, hers bloody and glorious, mine involving clogged toilets and exploding mop buckets. Somehow it worked. She laughed until tears streamed down her face, and I admitted, slurring, "You're terrifying, but I like you. Like you." She tilted her head, genuinely puzzled. Like. It means I'd risk getting murdered by your sword just to hold your damn hand. She stared at me for a long moment, then, very carefully, reached out and took my hand. Her grip was crushing, but it was sweet, in a terrifying way. We might have gone further, but my body betrayed me. The room spun. I hiccuped and promptly fell asleep on her lap. Romantic, I know. The next morning, I woke up to her armor AI announcing, "Human consort displays signs of weakness. Recommend genetic enhancement." "Shut up," she barked, but not before I caught her stroking my hair. She yanked her hand back when I opened my eyes, but the damage was done. I'd seen softness beneath the steel. From then on, the tension was unbearable. Every glance, every brush of skin, every joke layered with innuendo, it all built up like a pressure valve ready to blow. Crew members avoided us like we were radioactive, probably because they couldn't handle watching the galaxy's deadliest warrior blush like a schoolgirl whenever I opened my mouth. One day, while helping her out of a damaged chest plate, my hand slipped. My palm landed squarely on her bare skin.
Warm.
Smooth. Electric. We both froze. Her breath caught. "Do not stop." I almost dropped dead. "Are you serious?" Her eyes burned into mine. "Finish removing it." And that's how I ended up fumbling with alien clasps, sweating bullets while she stood there half-dressed, unbothered. It would have been sexy if I didn't look like I was disarming a bomb. When the last piece finally came off, she exhaled, and I realized I was staring way too hard. "You admire me," she said, not a question. Admire? Lady, that's not the word I'd use. Worship, maybe. Fear, definitely. Lust, unfortunately, yeah. Her lips curved. Good. Then you may continue serving me. Somehow, her phrasing made it sound less like a command and more like an invitation. My brain short-circuited, my mouth opened, and what came out was, "I'll polish anything you want." She burst into laughter, a full-bodied laugh that shook her shoulders. And for the first time, I laughed with her, both of us caught between danger and desire, knowing we were already in too deep. The war came before either of us could figure out what the hell we were. One minute I was arguing with her about whether humans invented foreplay or just got lucky with it. The next, alarms blared through the ship, red lights flashing like a cheap brothel. Enemy fleet inbound. Everyone ran to stations.
Me?
I was dragged into the armory because apparently her consort must assist. Which, for the record, was never my contract. Her armor was damaged from the last battle, half the seals jammed, plates bent. The other techs were terrified to even touch it. So, of course, all eyes turned to me. "Great," I muttered, shoving my arms into the mess of wires and gears. "Janitor saves the galaxy, one spitshine at a time." She stood tall, half-armored, glaring at me. "Do not fail me." "Oh, no pressure. Just fixing the only thing between you and a laser to the chest. Totally fine." Her chest plate groaned as I tightened the last clamp. The whole time, I couldn't stop noticing her bare skin under the unfastened sections, sweat glistening, heartbeat pounding. Every brush of my hand across her body was both necessity and temptation. And, because fate has a sense of humor, she noticed. "You are distracted," she said, voice low. "Gee, I wonder why." Maybe because I'm strapping death armor onto a half-naked war goddess while the ship shakes like a cheap motel bed. She actually smirked. Focus, human. After this battle, I will allow you to indulge your distractions. I almost dropped the wrench. That's motivation, if I've ever heard it. Then the attack hit. She charged into the battlefield like a storm, sword blazing, plasma flaring, tearing through enemy troops with terrifying grace. And me? I was right behind her, polishing, patching, swearing under my breath. Every time a plate cracked, I tightened it. Every time a joint jammed, I banged it loose. It was like being the world's horniest pit crew. The comms filled with chaos, soldiers screaming, captains barking orders, explosions shaking the deck. And in the middle of it, there we were, bickering like a married couple. "Stop grabbing my waist," she shouted, swinging her blade. "Stop presenting it to me while you decapitate people." I yelled back. "You are supposed to be assisting, not ogling." "I'm multitasking." A plasma bolt grazed her thigh plate. Spark showered. I lunged in, smacking it with my rag, like I could beat the damage out. "Hold still. We are in combat." "Yeah, well, so is my blood pressure. Now shut up and let me work." She gutted an enemy warrior while I hammered the dent back into shape, and for a surreal second, I realized we were perfectly in sync. She destroyed, I repaired. She killed, I cursed. Together, we were unstoppable. When the last enemy fell, silence swept the deck. Smoke, blood, wreckage everywhere. She stood over the carnage, armor gleaming from my frantic polishing, sword dripping. And me, covered in sweat, soot, and other fluids I didn't want to identify. The crew stared at us in stunned silence. Then someone muttered, "Power couple." And just like that, the nickname stuck. The entire ship now thought we were not only lovers, but the galaxy's deadliest romantic duo. She didn't deny it. In fact, she turned to me, eyes gleaming, and said, "They are not wrong." I gawked. "Wait, are you saying we're official?" She stepped closer, towering, terrifying, and beautiful. "You risked everything to keep me whole. You treat me as more than a weapon. For that, you are mine." "Yours? That's a hell of a label." "You object." I thought about it. The danger, the gossip, the fact that she could literally crush me if I pissed her off. Then I thought about the way she laughed at my jokes, the way her hand lingered in mine, the promise in her eyes. I swallowed hard.
"No."
"I don't object." She smiled, genuine, rare, radiant. "Good. Then polish me properly, human. And do not miss a spot this time." The crew erupted in cheers and catcalls. Someone shouted, "Get a room." Another yelled, "Too late, they already did." I buried my face in my hands, but I was grinning like an idiot. Because somehow, against all odds, the janitor and the knight had become the ship's biggest scandal and its strangest love story. Later, when we were alone, she sat across from me, armor finally set aside, hair spilling down her shoulders. "You realize," she said, "our relationship will terrify the galaxy." "Good," I replied. "Maybe they'll stop making me clean toilets." She chuckled, then leaned forward, eyes soft. "You matter, human. More than you know." And for once, I didn't crack a joke. I just squeezed her hand and thought, damn, maybe polishing her armor wasn't such a bad gig after all.